The Awakening, I believe, is the 1152nd film in which a ghostly kid inhabits a school of some kind, starring a beautiful woman with long black hair that can probably get wet very well and look all creepy as it's all wet across her face. You just don't get many of these type of movies anymore. The Awakening stars Rebecca Hall and Dominic West, and I kind of joked about the plot a little bit in the intro, and yes, it's very cliched, this idea of this school, and there's a ghostly kid in there, and all these kids are terrified, and he's showing up in pictures, and he's making weird faces in photos that people are taking. It takes place in 1921. Rebecca Hall plays a paranormal ghost investigator of some kind. She's probably one of the first types of that career. And she gets sent to this school to investigate what's going on, because these kids are terrified. As Dominic West's character states, who is a school teacher there, the kids are no longer afraid of bumps in the night. They are terrified for their lives. This kid's walking around in the hallways with this deformed look on his face. Kids are seeing that, adults are seeing it, and it's terrifying them, obviously. Now, Rebecca Hall is this character who studies these ghostly appearances. She is interested in learning about them, but she doesn't really believe in the afterlife or have any thoughts that she actually will ever encounter something real. This reminds me a lot of John Cusack's character in 1408, which was adapted from a Stephen King short story. He was a guy who investigated paranormal things, and he didn't really believe any of it either, and throughout his experiences in the movie, he starts to believe certain things that he never really thought were ever true. Really enjoyed that movie. The Awakening took a lot from the 1408 idea of that character, but it's a completely different film. In some ways a very good film, and in some ways no, not so much. Rebecca Hall was really good in this movie. You may remember her from The Town. She brings this really great quality to her character that brings realism, but also a really good sense of authority. I really liked her in this movie. I thought she did a really nice job. Dominic West plays this school teacher who helps her come to this school, and then he's sort of like a guiding support throughout, taking her through hallways and showing her this and showing her that. But as the film concluded, I kind of felt like his character was pointless and not even really necessary for the film. I don't really understand why his character actually needs to be there. I get that he is a man and she's a woman, and that's a possibility for romantic interest, and that's really all that I can really understand. Also, his character has a stutter. It seems like a pointless thing his character has that isn't really necessary to the movie, and I don't really like that when actors or writers decide, you know what, we're gonna give this guy a limp. It always just seems like a ploy to make us feel sorry for that character for no real reason. Certain scares in this movie worked really well. I like the idea that it was set in 1921. The countryside of England looks really beautiful. Some of the scares and suspense was actually pretty palpable, and I was surprised by that. Rebecca Hall was great in the movie. Some of the performances are really good, but really where this movie fails is the ending. And I won't spoil anything for you, but it is an ending that when you see it, you're like, okay, I can kind of understand where they're going. And then you look back on the movie and you're like, that makes so many things weird. That makes everything like different. Now there's so many unanswered questions. See, there are certain things in the ending that I like, that make sense, that okay, I get it. But then there were certain things that were like just in your face, like, look, I know you're not gonna get this, so we're just gonna like show you everything that happened in the movie. It's an ending where when things start to happen, it's like they just start showing you shots of what already happened in the movie to remind you of what you should already know. But it was like, yes, I remember seeing all that. You don't have to remind me of all of that through a flashback. The ending of the film was interesting and ambitious, but it caused too many unanswered questions to the beginning of the movie that made it kind of hard to understand some of the things that happened in the movie. That being said, up until then, that was a very creepy movie. I was interested in the story. There was a surprising amount of depth in the characters that you don't normally get in a horror film like this, and you could tell that Nick Murphy, the director, was trying to tell a more character-based story, a more character-driven story, which is rare in a horror film. And I liked how Rebecca Hall played her character. I thought she was really good in the movie, and she was definitely the standout of this film. Overall, it's an interesting movie. Like, you get into it, but then the ending is kind of a bit of a letdown. But the fact that I enjoyed almost the entire movie, and I can't really deny that, I'm gonna give The Awakening a B-. If you were to Redbox this or Netflix it, you'd probably find more enjoyment out of it. I wouldn't really recommend seeing this in theaters, but I think if you are a fan of horror films like me, if you just want to pick this up on DVD or maybe through Netflix or Redbox, as I said, you'll probably find more enjoyment out of it. I also have a bit of an announcement for you guys. I'm not sure how many of you may know this. If you're following me on Facebook, which you should do because I give lots of updates there, and I also do polls for you guys to choose like what films you'd want me to see or review. Facebook.com/Chris Stuckmann. that simple. Also on Twitter, my handle is Chris_Stuckmann, very simple. All these links I'm going to put in the description. If you're following me there, you know that I've started writing for a great website called moviedex.com, and I really enjoy writing. It's actually how I started, and I've always wanted to get back into it, so I started writing some reviews for this great website. And if you want to read more of my written reviews, you can go to moviedex.com. I'm going to be doing that regularly now. It's a lot of fun. I'm not going to be doing as many written reviews as I do video reviews, but it's a lot of fun for me. It's a different medium to express my thoughts on movies, and I enjoy it a lot. So if you guys would like to check that out sometime, more than welcome to. As always, guys, if you like this review, you can subscribe to my channel and get Stuckmanized.